Lord sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. Tomorrow is another day. Living is the only way. Tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be.
Greetings and welcome to A Sip of Inspiration. My name is Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, known as the Empowerment Doctor, and I am your host for tonight's show. Tonight I thought we'd have a little bit of fun mixed in with some seriousness, and we talk a bit about what my friends are calling spiritual housekeeping. We were sitting around the other night and we were discussing New Year's resolutions. We were discussing all manner of things, and we came up with, what do you need to do in order to live the life that you've imagined? Now, I have a couple of quotes that I want to share with you because I think that in these quotes lies some key information, and we're going to discuss some of them. The first one is by Pantahali, which is, when you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in every direction, and you find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be. The next quote that I think that perhaps we should begin to live by is by George Bernard Shaw, that says, imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and at last you create what you will. And from Alice in Wonderland, it says, I believe in as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. There are a few keys that we discovered in these quotes that will help you when you start off to live the life that you've imagined. And we're going to call them spiritual housekeeping because we know at this time of year we all have some to do. The first thing I want to discuss is it's all perception. And the perception begins in our belief and our thoughts about what we believe to be true. You see, any problem that we encounter in our lives right now at this point is not because there is not a solution. I believe is because we just lack the imagination. We have become hard and fixed, and we've put ourselves in these boxes, and we believe that the only thing that is true or even possible is the things that we know about. But I want to challenge you to expand your imagination. When you expand your imagination, the next question I get is, how do I do that? I want you to start right now in this moment to begin to live in the place where your blessings are. Begin to live your life in the presence of God, as opposed to the absence of God. What we find ourselves doing all too often is complaining about all the things that we have to do. We complain about doing the dishes. We have to go to work. We're not happy about that. So I want to challenge you as you begin this new journey of living the life that you imagine to begin to see absolutely everything in your life as an opportunity to express the best self that you are, and also as an opportunity to expand your horizons. I want you to remember that scientifically, there are about 6 possible solutions and 6 possible ways to resolve any issue that you may have in your life right now. So if you've come up with 1 or 2, you're doing a pretty good job. But I want you to push yourself until you can reach that 6. And then, only then will you be able to find the magic that exists in the situation. Also, begin to see any situation that you're in, any event, as a learning opportunity. Don't be so quick to judge things as good or bad. I know you've heard all of that before, and you're going to hear it again tonight. But all you simply do is start to ask the question, what am I to learn from this? When you start looking at the very events in your life as a learning opportunity, you will find that there are golden nuggets throughout that experience, and that those situations have actually come to prepare you for the life that you want to live. There's a story like, imagine that the very thing that you want is like across the river, but the river is deep and rough. And in order to get there, you either have to learn to build a bridge or you've got to learn to swim. And suppose you don't know how to do either. Well, I think it's about time for you to learn, because what it is you need is on the other side of the river for a reason. Because perhaps, maybe you do need to learn to build a bridge, or you do need to learn to swim. I want to remind the listeners at home that this is a call-in show. The number is on the screen. It is 312-738-1845. And as usual, we welcome your questions. The next thing is, if you're having a particularly rough time, and no matter what you do, it seems like nothing's going right. For love or money, you just can't seem to catch a break. I want you to practice gratitude and appreciation. And of course, the next thing I usually hear is, oh my God, well, I'm grateful. But I want you to make a game out of it. You see, we have so much to be grateful for, and we often forget. And there are people and things that we have to be grateful for that we're not even aware of. So for instance, when you get up in the morning, just be thankful that you woke up, because you did not wake yourself up. You didn't create the legs that you're going to use to get out of bed and to go about your day. You didn't create the feet either, nor did you create the heartbeat, nor do you have to remind yourself that you have to breathe. So I want you to practice gratitude and appreciation and try to find, 15, 20, 30 things a day to be grateful for. Hi, we have a caller on the line. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
That's great. I am so inspired by what you're saying. I need to lose weight. And so I'm going to use your How to Live in Your Dream, I think you said. I'm not quite sure.
Yes, you are going to live the dream that you imagine. So let's talk about the weight loss.
I'm inspired by it. Now, can you give me a step or two that'll get me started?
Okay. The first thing that you need to do, and it is not only in weight loss, but in just about anything that you want to manifest. So we're not going to lose the weight, because you can't lose things. What we're going to do is we're going to release the need for the weight. Generally, when you find yourself either overweight or underweight, that's kind of a sign that you were needing some extra protection and comfort when you were going through some difficult experiences.
That's very true.
Okay, so it's not the weight that actually needs to be dealt with. It is the things that have happened that have caused you to develop this extra protection. Okay? So I want you to first start by, in your mind, I want you to imagine the size that you want to be, your perfect size.
Okay.
Okay? And I don't want you to talk about, most of us say, I thank God for losing 20 pounds. No, I want you to be thankful for your perfect weight.
Okay.
Okay? So that's what you're to say. I'm grateful for my perfect weight. Thank you for my perfect weight. And if you know what that is, or your perfect size, then say what that is. Okay? Because you have to switch from the negative conversation to the positive conversation. Because remember, we live in this great universe, and in this universe, it does not know or cannot differentiate between positives and negatives. So when we say, I want to lose a certain amount of weight, what it hears is just the amount of weight. So it's a little bit confused. It doesn't know if you want to lose it or gain it. So nothing happens. So I want you to start looking at that. The other thing that I want you to do, which is probably a more important thing, is at the time in your life when you started to gain the weight, I want you to look at what was going on in your life. Okay?
Okay.
And then I want you to do a technique that I call soul journaling, or that's called soul journaling. I want you to sit down with a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a fancy piece of paper, and a pencil. And I want you to write down what was going on in your life.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And I want you to write down the question, what was I thinking? What do I need to learn? And what quality is trying to be born in me?
Oh, okay.
Okay? Because a lot of times I have found in my own personal experience, especially when I'm either losing too much or gaining too much or spending too much or not spending enough is because there's an issue there that's going on in my life, and what I need to do is practice more forgiveness. Okay? And forgiveness is a tough one for most people, and even me is really tough for. So that's what I want you to start to do. And what you will find is once you're able to actually look at the situation and let it go, release it, forgive it, let it go.
Okay, how do you do that?
Now, there's several ways to do that, okay? One of my favorite ways is, and one of the things I do is I will write down the situation that I need to release, and then I will set it on fire. I have my own personal, what's called a burning bowl, okay? Fire makes a great impression on me. So I burn it up, and that symbolizes that you're burning that up, and that's gone from your life.
Okay.
Another thing that you can do is a lot of times in situations, what I have found is if you feel particularly hurt and there were things you needed to say, but you didn't get an opportunity to say them, I want you to write those things down, okay? Write down everything you wish you've said.
Okay.
Write down everything that you said that you are sorry you said, okay? Because a lot of times our mouth engages before we have a chance to think about it, okay? And then once you do that, I want you then to write the statement that you now release and forgive this person or this event for all of the hurt and harm that it has caused you. Okay? And then I want you to write down the lessons that you have learned. Okay? Now, you do that, you can either burn it or you can fold it up and put it in the Bible, maybe with your favorite verse is what some people do. They put it in an envelope and put it away. Some people mail it to themselves just as an act of releasing it.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
Now, every time that situation comes up, now that you have actually written it down, it will come up again, okay? I want you to remember that when you're thinking about it, I want you to remember to breathe through it. When we experience difficulty in life, we tend to stop breathing because we are fearful.
I'm practicing this as you're saying it.
Okay, so I want you, as you're sitting there now, I want you to just breathe in. And when you breathe, allow your abdomen to expand when you inhale. And then when you exhale, I want your abdomen to relax. And I want you just to say, all of my needs are met. Okay? And when that comes up, I want you to remind yourself that I have forgiven and released that situation. It no longer has any power or control over my life.
Okay.
And then if you have a picture of you when you're at the weight that you want to manifest again, keep that picture handy where you can see it as many times a day.
Okay.
Okay, a lot.
Okay.
And if you can make copies, put it everywhere because that makes a great impression on the mind.
I will do it, and thank you so very much. I am so inspired by what you're saying.
Thank you very much. Thanks for calling.
Have a great day.
You have a great one, too.
And I hope you become our next Oprah, because you would do well.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, we're going to see that, right?
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That caller actually moved us into one of the next things is that one of the perfect tools for spiritual housekeeping is forgiveness. And I talk a lot about forgiveness in all of the seminars and series that I do, and probably because I always have need for forgiveness. I want you listeners at home to think about forgiveness like this. And this was an analogy that I heard a minister say that I thought was perfect. When you have a rug at home, if you don't sweep under it for a while, all kind of dust and stuff sort of collects and gathers. But if you raise that rug up every day and sweep under it a little bit, nothing ever really gathers. So at the end of every day, I want you to get really honest with yourself. And any event that caused you any kind of angst, any kind of uneasiness, any kind of pain, jealousy, or doubt, I want you to bring that up, and I want you to forgive the person, and I want you to forgive yourself. A lot of times experiences come to us just so we can learn to flex our forgiveness muscles. Hi, we've got a caller on the line. Good evening.
Yes, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic.
I just wanted to say I saw one of your sermons about forgiveness, and it helped me and my wife tremendously. I just wanted to thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
She forgave me for coming her face.
Ah, did she?
Yeah, I fucked in her ass, too.
Uh-oh, you might need a little bit more in forgiveness. um, Unforgiveness is once you have forgiven, I want you to understand that a lot of people say, oh, I'll never forget that. It is not necessarily the event that you're trying to forget. It is the emotions. It's the emotions that's attached to the event. When you're to the place where you can think about the event or talk about the event without feeling any pain or anger, then you know you've truly forgiven. Good evening. We have a caller on the line.
Thank you so much, sister. You're better than the next Oprah. I just wanted to say, I just wanted to ask you, how do I get over the fact of someone that I had trusted so very much, and all they wanted to do was basically use me and take. It was never about a real relationship or really trying to teach me the true values of a spiritual God, but all they did was come in my life and kept taking, begging, and taking. How do I start the process of really forgiving that person? Thank you so much.
Okay, in this situation, the one thing that we have to remember is this. Sometimes we get the question mixed up. The question should be always, where am I going and who is coming with me? But all too often we ask, who's coming with me? And then we ask, where am I going? We have to understand and become real with the fact that we are the most important person in the relationship, and everyone in the relationship has a spiritual journey and an assignment from Spirit. So people only do to you what it is that you allow, and it's often said that they only treat you as bad as you treat yourself. So you need to look at that relationship and decide just how do you treat yourself? How do you think about yourself? And then start working with your own self-image and your own self-worth. I would start with first going into my life at the time the relationship occurred, looking at that particular period of time, deciding or thinking about what you were experiencing and feeling that made you think that this relationship was the right relationship. Often we're looking to be rescued. Often we're looking for someone to love us because we're not able to love ourselves. And then I want you to look at that. I want you to sit down with a piece of paper, just the way I said to the earlier caller, and I want you to write down those feelings and those emotions. Then I want you to write down the feelings and the emotions that you have now. And what you will probably discover is, in both instances, you were looking for someone else to love you when the primary job for loving you belongs with you. We have to begin to condition ourselves to love ourselves and to understand just how worthy we are. And once we do that, we forgive ourselves for not loving ourselves first. We forgive ourselves for often making mistakes in relationships. And after we've done that, we can forgive the other person. We have a caller on the line.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. God bless you. Having me here.
Thank you.
I have just tuned into your show, and I was listening to the portion of forgiveness, and I had read previously that forgiveness is something that we do for ourselves and not so much as the other person, because the other persons who have interest normally moved on with their lives, and we're still holding on to the pain, anger, frustration, or whatever the emotion is. So we have to forgive it so that we can be free. And I just wanted to share that with the young lady. I hope she's still listening. And I do also agree that a lot of the things you say about writing things down, because sometimes I think Dr. Wayne Dyer says the best person to analyze us is ourselves. If we're able to be honest with the questions and the answers that we have to internally ask ourselves. And it's my first time tuning into your show, but I can see that some of the words that you speak are reflective of a lot of the books I've read, and I hope that throughout your show you do kind of introduce a lot of the public to some of the authors and people who have motivated you to be able to speak